us kicked off for today. Again, my name is Greg Bisping. I work in career services at the University of Utah. I've been here for almost 7 years, both as a career advisor and now in corporate outreach. My colleague Jacob Newman is also on the video conference, and he'll be helping us today as well, and helping to facilitate CR England, which we're so excited to welcome to our summer virtual session. Online, we have Courtney Ochoa, and so he's a talent acquisition supervisor, and we have Mindy Smet, who is a corporate recruiter. So how this is going to run today is we are going to give them the floor for about a half an hour. And they have a video presentation, and they're going to talk about CR England. Congrats on the 100-year anniversary, by the way. Super big accomplishment for a local Utah company.
Thank you.
And family owned for 4 generations now, is that correct?
Yep.
Yes. It's really amazing. So we're super excited to have you join, and I am going to give the floor to you.
Okay, thank you. So first off, thanks for having us today. Before Courtney jumped on the call, I was saying I always look forward to these events and being invited to them. So today is no different. But I'm going to start off before I go into some details about the company. I'm going to show a short video clip. So here we go.
Well, I think in some way, shape, or form, a lot of us, when we're going through our daily lives and we see the products that we distribute and customers that we deal with on a day-to-day, we see those products on the shelves, and we take a personal pride in knowing that we helped get that product there.
Trucking supports the country. You know, everything that we have, from our clothes to the food that we eat to the beds that we lay in, are moved by trucks, you know, across the country. So we play a big, big role.
I find the people here have a phenomenal work ethic, well above those folks that I've worked at with other companies.
I think everybody has a strong desire to work better. We have a strong desire to do things right the first time. We have a strong desire to work as a cohesive team. And I think that that makes us more successful than our competitors, and I think that's what helps us to be the most successful that we can be.
I would say that we have probably the most motivated, results-driven employees that I've ever worked with.
We have a unique bond. It's a friendship, it's a family, and I think that says a lot. It's, you know, not just a bunch of people coming in and punching the clock every day and watching the clock and when can I go home, but we communicate with each other, and I think that's something that's very unique here.
I have a 7-year-old son. He's always telling me, "Hey, Dad, there's one of your trucks." And you know, we deliver a lot of important things for the general public, and obviously without trucking, this world would come to a stop.
You've got the management team as well as the England family that have the attitude to achieve success. They've got a clear vision and the strategy in place to help us, you know, lead us to success.
They have a lot of great people in place to make those big decisions that big companies need to make, and a lot of great people who understand the goals that CR England has year after year and knows the best route to take to achieve those goals.
Well, you know, it's a very unique company. Many people have been here 20, 30 years that have experienced tremendous growth and success, and it's very unique from a transportation standpoint to have a company with that type of experience.
We've made huge strides over the last several years I started back in 1990, and we basically did one thing, and that's we picked up a load and delivered it. We now have 38 to 40 different divisions operating under the CR England umbrella. That's huge growth, and we only see great things in the future, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. So I'll just start off today by just reintroducing myself and Courtney for some of those that if they didn't hear in the beginning. So my name is Mindy. I've been with CR England for just about a year now, and I'm a corporate recruiter. And then Courtney, I'll just go for you. He is my boss who just celebrated his 5th year anniversary at CR England. So congrats to him. That's a huge milestone. But yeah, it's been a great experience for me, and I get the luxury of listening to him say, you know, the same things to candidates every day. So I know him and I are on the same page as well on that. But just to go into the company a little bit, you know, I think it's interesting when, you know, with especially me only been with the company a year ago, when someone would have asked me, you know, what do you know about CR England? You know, tell me about it. And I always think it's interesting hearing it now from candidates that we talk to. The most common answer is, oh, you know, we see your trucks on the freeway, and that's how people know us, right? And that was I think that was actually my answer too at the time. But now that I've been with the company for a year, it's amazing how much I've learned about it, and then just how long it's been around, right? We just celebrated our 100th year, which is a huge milestone. Just in the past year, I've kind of learned just how much tremendous growth and success the company's had. But, you know, given the 99 years prior to that, it's you know, it went through generations and different things happening throughout the world. So thinking about those things and what it was able to go through and overcome, that's interesting to me, and I'm sure it's interesting to a lot of other people. But to go into that a little bit, so the company was founded in 1920 by Chester R. England. So again, I think you had mentioned that, you know, we're now on to our 3rd and 4th generation of Englands that own the company. So this company throughout the years has been grounded by the family and the roots that Chester initially started on. And I think our day-to-day, that shows, right? It's a family-owned company. It's a family culture, which I personally really like. I think that's a lot of what candidates look for in companies. They want to work for a company that genuinely cares about their employees. And given that this is family-owned, I feel like, from my personal experience, you know, they do just that. They make sure you feel like your family every day. So CR England as a whole, so it's made up of 5 different divisions. So I'll go through those a little bit. So our first one is what we call OTR, which means over the road, which are long distances that span across the whole United States. And then you go into our regional, which is still over the road. However, it just is a certain geographic of the United States. I think there's 5, if I remember right. And then we also have our Mexico division, which is importing and exporting of our freights and goods in and out of the Mexico border. And then our biggest and most booming division is our dedicated division, which is dedicated routes, which serve some of, what's the word I'm looking for? Some of the more different freights that you'll relate with. So I'll go through some of those, which is like your retail, groceries, storage and relocation, dry goods, protein, and produce. And then in addition, our last division is going to be our intermodal, which is temp stacking through railroad services. So essentially they're putting them on the trains when you see them go by and you see all the like crates. If I'm saying the right word. That's essentially what that is. So in a nutshell, that's our 5 divisions. And then just to give you guys some numbers behind this, so we currently today have 4,500 tractors, 6,000 trailers, 1,600 containers, which was what I was talking about with the intermodal. That was the word I was looking for. And then I think this is the most impressive number. We have over 6,200 drivers to date. And then a piece I just wanted to touch on as I was kind of preparing for this, so to speak, presentation. I think this one kind of stands out differently for me personally, just because obviously we're right in the middle of a pandemic, right? And I mean, this is just my own personal opinion. I'm very proud to work for CR England, but when you think about our current times and what we're going through, I specifically remember when we were first going through this, and I'm sure a lot of you do, when the stores couldn't keep anything on the shelves, right? Everybody was buying everything so fast. You know, we couldn't find a pack of toilet paper anywhere. I remember being so proud in that moment, though, of CR England and our employees, especially our drivers, just because, I mean, these were the people behind the scenes that were hustling to make sure that you, me, you know, our family, friends, everybody was taken care of, because without that, I mean, look at the panic we're in if we don't have our everyday supplies to live. So I remember, you know, through that specifically, I was so proud, just understanding that there's people behind the scenes, especially in trucking, as you know, it never stops, right? Even when you and I are sleeping, you know, there's truck drivers all over the world, or all over the nation, excuse me, you know, traveling, taking times away from their family, dedicating to make sure that, you know, the next day when we get up, when we go to the store, you know, we have the essentials that we need. But in addition, I think that is relatively all that I have. Another thing I wanted to add to that I didn't, that I was thinking about, was CR England actually is the largest refrigerated transportation solution in the industry. So that's kind of, I feel like, what we're known for compared to our competitors, which again, I think is a huge accomplishment in itself. So I will let Courtney, if you have anything else to add. If not, I can kind of go into, you know, what we offer and as far as positions go.
Okay, good. Yeah. If you're going to cover that, just the only thing that I would want to add, and you might remember this, and I remembered as you were speaking just now. So I think it was April, right when we were in the height of the pandemic, you know, the company, we all received an email from our CFO, or our CEO, excuse me, and he was sharing with the company a letter that our company had received from the Secretary of Transportation. I think there were 5 total companies that were recognized at that time. And it was basically just a thank you for what you and your company do, for what you know, your essential employees are doing to help keep, you know, our company, you know, running and functioning during these unprecedented times. And I just remember feeling, kind of like Mindy had mentioned, just so proud to be able to work for a company that is, you know, making such a significant difference in these or in these times that none of us had expected. So certainly echo your sentiments there for sure.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'll go into the positions that we offer, and then kind of the roles that we feel like are kind of more suited towards the questions that we normally get. So with our company, typically, you know, we're going to have everything from operations to obviously our driving positions, and then we also have our maintenance division as well too. But the biggest thing that we tend to go over when we do these types of events is our internship program. We currently don't have any specifically right now, and partially, you know, due to just the time, but they typically, I believe, Courtney, and correct me if I'm wrong, we typically have those come out more towards the spring. So we're probably looking at more next year, April, May timeframe.
They've aligned historically with the start of each like school semester, not always the summer semester, but with the fall and with winter semesters. Okay. They've always typically aligned with the start dates of those. To kind of touch on your point there, this is the first time that I've been here where we haven't had anything on deck for, right, in the fall, just because of the pandemic. And, you know, we're not certain as a company that we'd be able to appropriately support an intern at this point, but it's one of those things where if we're still in the office by January, I think we'd have a little bit of a better handle on that. So.
Okay. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, the positions I'm kind of thinking about, just as we're talking, would probably be under operations. an OTR would be probably for a fleet manager, if anything. The one thing I did want to point out, just because we do receive these questions a lot, was as far as like a flexible schedule. I think we've told folks in the past, we do have some weekend work when it comes to like fleet management, but it's, you're going to be looking at more full-time, like after hours during the day type of shifts. So I know with a lot of you being in school and kind of needing, the flexibility, that might be kind of your best bet as far as trying to find some flexibility in the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we'll be able to kind of answer some of your questions more individually. I'm sure you guys do have some, but we're definitely open ears for what you guys have.
I think maybe I would just, want to just reiterate about the positions that we have, and specifically with the internships, maybe just go over the areas that we cover with those. We've had internships previously in our operations group, which is typically that's our fleet management side of the business. We also have had interns before in human resources, in our finance department, which could be, maybe interning for our staff accounting group or interning for our payables or receivables groups. Additionally, in our IT group. So if you guys are in IT, we've had interns previously doing QA or software development. Those have been the two main areas for IT where we've had interns. So any of those are positions where in the past, and even the few that we still currently have, are still interning in those areas.
Yeah. Yep, and then just some point on that too, just to piggyback off you, because I know you've said this in the past too on events that we've been at. It's the truth. I mean, when we've had interns in the past, we've had quite a few of them, if I'm remembering right, that have come on board as full-time employees after, the internship section ended. So we have a good ratio as far as turning that into full-time, if that's something that, you'd be interested in.
I think I can still count on one hand the number of interns that we have not converted into full-time employees.
Yeah. Which
is pretty cool. I mean, we're getting kind of close, but pandemic's kind of hurt that a little bit. So
yeah, unfortunately. But just from before we were out of the office for the pandemic, I think we still have like 3 or 4 interns currently, and I thought, I'm maybe biased, but I thought they were great. We had a couple from the U as well that I would definitely give a really good reference for, just working with them the little bit that I did. So they're a little bit of alumni from you guys.
Courtney and Mindy, do you want to talk about maybe the number of employees that CR England employs, and then maybe some career paths as students get into some of these potential internships and where they can go within the company?
Sure. Yeah, we can go through that. Courtney, you might be able to touch on this piece a little bit more as far as the number of employees that are.
So for non-driver employees, it's between 1,200 and 1,500 total non-driver employees. That's not just in Salt Lake, that's scattered at all of our office locations all across the country.
Perfect. I see Stephen had a question about how long is your typical internship?
Ooh, I just answered it in the
chat. You did? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Oh, there you are.
So the duration on our internships, we haven't had one that's been for a fixed duration. Typically they've been open-ended. If you're a sophomore and you're going, 2-3 more years still in school, we could work around that. If you're a senior, you just want something for, 6 months. You're going off to do, charity work in Africa. We've had that before too, and then people leave, and we find new interns. So we're it seems like very flexible, maybe compared to other companies as far as how we kind of structure that.
Right. Yeah, and I think to add on to that too, this has just been my experience in the last year, and in the couple that we've hired. I think it is a unique internship program versus other companies, simply because a lot of the hiring managers that are hiring for these roles, they're very understanding that you guys have school schedules and need that to be worked around, and they're extremely flexible on that part. Which, from the other side, from the candidates that have accepted positions, they all of them had really, really excited reactions to that, just because sometimes, unfortunately, other internships aren't like that. It has to be, you know, a set amount of hours, certain days, and we've seen all different school schedules. So I think that's also one big plus for our internship program that other companies may not offer.
In fact, I should probably talk about that a little bit more too. So for our internship, for our interns, we'll cap the number of hours that a person can work each week at 20 hours per week. The reason for that is, you know, while we, you know, want a person to be able to get that work experience, we also don't want, you know, school to suffer as a result of you working an internship. So, you know, hopefully working no more than 20 hours a week here would give you that school and work balance. And then additionally, it is a paid internship position. So depending upon the functional role of the internship, the pay can be anywhere from $15 to $20 per hour.
Yeah, that's true. I almost forgot to mention that piece. That's huge, actually, because most aren't paid, which is great. You know.
Yeah.
They're also able to make an income while gaining the experience, which is great.
Cool. Nice.
Do you have any other questions? Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions, and maybe some of you just want to ask us more of those on a personal level, just during those little segments, that's perfectly fine. But if not, you know, I think we've pretty much summed up everything as far as the company goes. Oh.
Okay, I'll answer that one in the chat too. But as far as management, so I'll answer it here, but I'll answer it in the chat as well. So it would be more guided work, right? I mean, we wouldn't expect someone to come in and simply know, you know, how we want the task to be accomplished and completed, and to know our systems and everything else that's involved. So, you know, just, I guess maybe one of the best ways to describe it is just our interns are, you know, managed like any other employee here. You know, certainly once a person demonstrates, you know, capabilities and, you know, their proficiency at performing certain tasks, I mean, you know, the direct management and oversight of that, you know, can diminish, right? But in the very beginning, I mean, we want to partner with you on each task that you're assigned to make certain that you're able to be successful at it.
I'm going to jump in with a question, and since I'm a host, I think I can talk rather than use the chat. Could you tell us a little bit about the application process for some of these openings that you have? Anything that you think candidates need to know to really like stand out or be successful in applying for these roles?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. So I'll go first, and then Courtney, you can chime in if you want. So as far as our application process goes, we just ask that candidates go onto our website. We have a careers page, and then you would submit an application through there. The one thing, I mean, this is just personal opinion. I think standing out obviously would be to have an updated resume. Make sure you take a look at that, attention to detail before you submit it. And then, yeah, I think a lot of the things that when you stand out as well, just as far as like interview tips and things like that, is, you know, once you submit an application, it doesn't necessarily end there, right? I think I've learned personally over the years too, is if you're interested in something, you know, once you submit your resume, once you do the application, if you're able to find any contact on the website, which there are typically, you know, a list of people to contact with most companies on their website, you can reach out that way. Make sure, you know, you're expressing your interest, so it seems more personalized, because obviously, you know, when you're applying for jobs, you're typically applying for more than one, but the more you can actually learn about the company prior and express that interest, I think us as recruiters, we like that. You know, it shows genuine interest versus we were just someone in the list that they applied for.
So we have about 3 minutes before we jump into the individual group. We have some group meetings set up, but I had one question for you that's kind of a little outlandish maybe, but what would be a question that as you were interviewing people that they wish they would ask you?
Ooh, that they wish they would ask us. Or they wish that we would ask them, you mean?
No, that they just to talk about the company or something else.
Okay. That's a good question.
Well, that is a good question. I think that maybe, I don't know, like not enough people, I think, ask about what they, I mean, Mindy and I, we talk to a lot of people every day, right? And as much as we like to, we don't move everyone that we speak with during the initial conversation on to meet with the hiring managers. And then, you know, some people do really well meeting with the hiring managers, some people don't. I wish that more people would ask what they can do to prepare for that next step interview with the hiring manager. What questions do they need to ask that person? What do they need to have to be ready? What are things that they can do to research the job function or the position in order to put themselves in the best, you know, possible light or best position to be successful, you know, during that conversation. So
Yeah,
like very few people ask, but that should be a question that everyone asks. But
yeah, that's actually a good point too. And to kind of add on that as well, it's interesting that I'm thinking about conversations I've had recently, and yeah, it's like every other conversation I'll get that question, and it's great. And I mean, I'm always personally, when I'm just doing phone screens or things like that, like the initial conversation, I like the more questions they have. I think it's great. It shows that they came prepared. You know, again, they did that research. You know, they're genuinely interested. Not to say that some aren't, that don't. I mean, some people just, we talk about this all the time. Some candidates, sorry, you know, some are just more reserved. It doesn't necessarily mean that they come in there and they're bad at interviewing. But I just think the more questions you come with prepared can definitely benefit you down the road. So.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time on telling us a little bit more about CR England. And